Hello. For anyone who might be listening to the recording, for whatever reason, my headset is not pairing this morning. So we're going a la headset. So the sound might not be quite as good, but hopefully still sufficient with meditation. Find yourself in an upright posture. And I've taken to saying upright because you might be sitting on a chair, on blocks, cross-legged, you might be kneeling on a block, etc. So really find the pose where you can find the middle of your buttocks bones and let the spine grow erect up out of that. Closing the eyes. In the very first place, I'd like you to bring your awareness just to your points of contact with the earth or whatever it is that you're sitting upon. Props, right? Just notice any points of contact you have down, facing down into the earth. And we can be really general with that, but try to be specific. It's not your whole foot potentially, right? It's probably a portion of your foot. It's probably not your entire thigh, etc. So check in and really notice the areas that are making contact. Notice if you tend to have a little bit more weight on the right buttocks bone than the left, or vice versa. And you can even take that through any other points of contact if one side is weighted down a little more than the other. And then bring your awareness into the rest of the body. And as you scan through, noticing if you have any tension anywhere. And if the tension is not necessary, meaning those muscles do not have to be contracted, can you release and soften them? And whatever points of contact you do have, whatever happens with the muscles, noticing tightness, some that loosens, some that stays contracted, whatever you're noticing this morning is just a very open, receptive awareness, and we just accept what we notice. No judgment. And let's take a few moments, bringing the awareness into your breathing body. And that's just whatever you notice about your breath. Hopefully that belly is nice and soft. And you feel the belly floating in and out, away from the spine and back towards the spine as you breathe. And next, we're going to bring to mind the image of a mountain. Now, that can be a mountain that you have been to, that you know, you've seen, you've hiked. That can be a picture of a mountain that you've seen just in a picture, maybe never been to at all. And it can also be a completely imaginary mountain that you're making up right now. Get familiar with the mountain. And what I mean by that is, notice if it has a rounded top or if that's a really peaky top to the mountain. Notice the slope or slopes of the mountain. Is it really steep or is it wide with less of a slope? And maybe that changes from one part of the mountain to the next. Noticing if there's vegetation at all on your mountain. And again, it might be different from top to bottom. It might be different from west side to east side, or whatever it is that you imagine. Wonderful. Are there streams or rivers or springs? So just getting as familiar as you can with your mountain, the mountain you're bringing to mind right now. And anything else that I didn't ask about or point out, if there are other things you notice, take it all in. Now we're going to what I'm going to call superimpose ourselves into the mountain. Right, so you still have that same image of the mountain, and now I want you to be inside that mountain so that your head is the pinnacle, the peak, whether it's rounded or pointy. Right? Your arms and your shoulders become the slopes, and let those two images merge into one so that you become the mountain. And even noticing the base of the mountain. So maybe that widens your base. Right? Maybe you would have more points of contact with the floor being that mountain. And so if there were rivers or streams or springs, those are flowing down you. But you are still that mountain, right? Getting to just sit nice and tall and with dignity. And imagine yourself in spring. Do you have flowers that bloom? Do they bring pollinators? Do you have trees that bud or flower or leave? And then even those spring showers that might come, right? That helps all the vegetation. Even as the potential snow cap, if you imagined yourself with snow melting, you are still just sitting nice and tall and dignified, even with the changing of the seasons. Still peaceful. And then now imagine yourself during the summer, How hot is it in your environment on the outside, right, of you? Does your vegetation change? Has the snow completely melted? Right, whatever imagery you're working with. And again, noticing that even though there are all these changes on the outside, you are still this still being, this mountain sitting in dignity. Moving into autumn, maybe you have leaves that change. Maybe you have tamaracks with needles that turn gold or whatever that is for you. Your vegetation changing with the fall season. If any windstorms or things come through and rustle. But again, that's all on the surface. And you're still finding that peace and that stillness inside. And imagining yourself as that mountain during winter. As it gets colder, maybe you have snow on your pinnacle. Maybe it goes all the way down to the bottom of the mountain. Things are potentially barren. Some big storms might come and go. Clouds forming, blue sky. And the whole time, you are just being, not doing, but being. All of that is happening outside of you, and still there is this peace, this inner stillness. And of course, you would move from that winter back into the potential budding and bloom, that nice, gentle rainfall of spring. And so feel free to take this imagery with you or come back to it at all throughout your day, your week, remembering that no matter what happens around us, we still have this inner well of peace and stillness that's inside of us. And we can still sit tall and dignified and just be. Bring your hands together in front of your chest. Inhale. Exhale, bow the head in. Taking just a moment of gratitude from this place. Namaste, friends.